And gentlemen, we can start streaming. Okay, welcome to Education, Health, and Environmental Affairs for those in attendance or streaming. At times, all the chairs may not be filled because some members might be doing work elsewhere in the complex. But we do have alcohol bills that are not cross-filed. And we will start with Washington County. We have a Delegate Weibel. We have House Bill 280, House Bill 856, House Bill 1106, House Bill 1117. Wow.
A lot of drinking going on in Washington County these days.
I'm glad you said it, not me, because I'd catch hell. So with that, please.
Thank you,
welcome.
Mr. Chairman. It's good with you and members of the committee. I'm Delegate Weibel presenting House Bill 280. Basically, all this bill does is remove the word standalone from language so that cinemas and theaters located within a mall or other attached building may also be issued a license for on sale beer, wine, or liquor. The bill has unanimous support of the delegation, and I ask for a favorable report.
Pretty straightforward. Seeing no questions from the committee, that concludes the hearing on 280. Next.
House Bill 856 is also a Washington County delegation bill, has unanimous support. This one allows an institution of higher education that offers a hospitality and tourism management degree program to be issued a beer, wine, and liquor license so that the preparing, serving, and consuming of alcoholic beverages may occur during classroom instruction. Again, I ask for a favorable report.
Questions? Seeing none, also straightforward. Thank you. Next.
Yes. House Bill 1106 addresses wine, so it basically removes the term light from Washington County ordinances. Washington County is currently one of 9 counties that has light wine category of wine at 15.5% alcohol by volume. This bill puts us in line with 16 other jurisdictions that use the federal standard for wine not to exceed 23% alcohol by volume. Again, I ask for a favorable report.
Questions on that legislation? Senator.
Just for educational, light wine will, so do you actually produce, is there such a thing as light wine or?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it came to light when one of our retailers was getting a delivery of wine and found out that the percentage was like 16%.
Yeah.
And they weren't allowed to actually sell that to them then.
Oh,
So,
wow. Okay.
so it just kind of
Yeah,
cleans things
yeah,
up.
Yeah, cool, thank you.
Yep.
Delegate, and is there any reason you don't cross-file local alcohol bills? I don't care, I'm just curious.
We figure they're fairly easy bills, we just don't cross-file them.
That's fine. We're not
If
saying-
you would prefer that, we can do that next year.
Nope.
Okay.
We don't care, it's your choice.
All right.
Okay, 1106.
The last one is House Bill 1117. This bill standardizes language for cafe/patio permits, whereas previously the language only referred to cafes, and it also delineates procedures/stipulations upon which the license may be issued. Again, I ask for a favorable report.
Questions? Seeing none, thank you, that was painless.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, let's go to St. Mary's County, Delegate Clark.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, Senators. Thank you for hearing this bill today. It's HB 474. It's a St. Mary's County, Leonardtown alcohol beverage license, and it's a place of worship distance restriction. Purpose of this bill is to correct an ancient law that disallows liquor licenses within 300 foot of a church. In 2004, the law was changed to allow Class B licenses within 300 feet. over the years, St. Mary's County Alcohol Board has inadvertently issued other types of licenses in the Leonardtown proper, Leonardtown being a municipality, believing that they were permitted by the 2004 change. Recently, this issue was discovered. The town has requested the Board of County Commissioners and the delegation to amend the law to reflect both the current classes of licensed businesses in the downtown Leonardtown area and recently created licenses. And they would be like Class A license, packaged goods, Class AE, which is arts and entertainment, Class C, which is club, Class D, tavern, on and off sale, and Class S for beauty salons. Leonardtown is St. Mary's only municipality. Without this correction, Leonardtown is at risk of losing several downtown establishments that would greatly impact the economics of the town that had experienced a revitalization in the last few years. The bill is supported unanimously by the St. Mary's County delegation and the St. Mary's County Board of County Commissioners. And I thank you for your consideration and would be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions for the good delegate? Senator Simon there?
Thank you. So you mentioned this is places of worship, but I believe it also is within schools, kindergarten, elementary, and secondary schools, reference to A. Are there any schools that are currently within 300 feet of these alcohol establishments?
Senator, no, there's not. The nearest one would be St. Mary's Riken, which is at least a mile
Okay.
from the center of Leonardtown area
Gotcha.
where these licenses are at. It's out on the edge of Leonardtown, and no, there's no schools right in the town of Leonardtown.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions, Senator?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Delegate Clark, so thank you for this bill. And so I'm just trying to listen and think as far as what you're saying is the county made a mistake in issuing certain licenses, not realizing that they couldn't be within 300 feet of a place of worship. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so the correction is, because you don't want to harm the businesses who currently have the license,
Right.
is to take away the restriction, that 300 feet restriction.
Yes.
So there'll be absolutely no restriction as far as any type of establishment that serves alcohol and places of worship being next to each other.
Correct.
And so, yeah, and so have you kind of got any community input with this? Like,
Yeah.
the places of worship, how they feel about that, or, I mean, in Leonardtown?
Yeah, the law was actually changed for certain types of license, like I said, back in 2004, for that one type, Class B. At the public hearing, back in October when this was proposed, there was no negative testimony from any of the churches or any of the folks that in the town about this bill. The one thing that you can remember about St. Mary's County is there's a many church in St. Mary's County. And I should say Calvert, because I don't want to go against one or the other. There's many churches and there's many taverns too, in the rural areas.
Yeah.
But there's been no pushback on it and no negative testimony from the Archdiocese or any of the churches in the Leonardtown area.
Okay, great. Thank you, Delegate.
Yeah, thank you. And his questions got me thinking a little, and maybe legal counsel can help me. I'm not familiar of any other jurisdictions that just removes completely any bans within a certain school range or church. I imagine what, and you can tell me, Delegate, I imagine what happened in 2004, there was an establishment there that either wanted it or, so they went and they had a public hearing saying we should do this for this Class B.
Correct.
But what this does is it removes the complete prohibition with being, you could be 20 feet from a kindergarten or a high school or completely. So Was there any consideration as far as just grandfathering those that already had the licenses, opposed to saying, you're saying a school is a mile away, but this would allow an establishment to go 50 feet from a school?
If, yeah, and if it was properly zoned, yes. If the area was properly zoned. I can't answer the question about the grandfathering. The St. Mary's County Liquor Board was the one that requested this, and the county commissioners agreed with them, and the town council of Leonardtown, was very anxious to be able to achieve this so that they could continue to prosper and grow in their downtown area. Having been in the liquor business for a lot of years, 45 years, in Calvert County, I could probably say, and I'm not 100% sure if there's a distance restriction in Calvert County, but there's quite a few locations where there's places within 300 feet of a house of worship.
Okay.
Not so much schools, because our schools tend to be out in the rural areas as opposed in the town centers, where they have room for bigger campuses.
Senator, I think in many counties, if not all the counties, at one point, they all had this type of language. It was boilerplate, and it slowly changed. I mean, one of my earlier bills where I learned about redhead Eskimos was a storefront church was like 250 feet from a new restaurant that wanted beer and wine or microbrewery, and we had to make a small adjustment. So I think this is probably true in a lot of jurisdictions.
Yeah, I think so too. And having, like I say, having been in the alcohol business for as many years, I can remember when we used to close on Election Day. And I used to like that because I got a day off. But a lot of the laws have changed and evolved, and a lot of these issues have been replaced.
After we're done here, is we're not saying there's a particular situation in your county where we want to do it. This is just taking it completely away in that jurisdiction.
In the Leonardtown proper.
Right.
Yes.
So, which,
Public hearing, and all the places of worship had an opportunity to speak out if they chose.
Yes.
Okay. And there are no schools within the 300 feet.
I think he said currently there are no establishments within 300 feet, but this would
Yeah.
open it up so somebody could apply to do that.
It could, but like I say, the schools are all pretty much in rural area and not in town center or commercial districts, for two reasons. We have a lot of these towns and a lot of areas in southern Maryland have compact commercial areas, and a lot of the school campuses are 50 or 100 acres, and they tend to be out in an old cornfield or old tobacco field.
Right. I think the senator's implicit view is to tell the local liquor board that if a package store wants to open in the rural area near a school, they should really think about that. I think it's not a
I
problem.
agree
It's
with
not a
100%.
problem now.
Yeah. In
But
fact,
we don't want to pass this and have unintended consequences, I think is the only concern.
Yeah, and I can convey that to the Board of County Commissioners and their planning and zoning department too.
Up really quick. Listen to the debate and, Mr. Chairman, your comment about problems. So in Charles County, there was a huge problem a few years ago where a liquor store opened up in a brand-new shopping center next to Westlake High School, and the community was just up in arms. It was like walking distance from the high school. You can see them. And so several people lost re-election because of that issue right there. It was so contentious. And so the thing is, I know it's a local bill, but the issue, I know has been very problematic for us in Charles County. And of course, with places of worship, I know the Senate President came with a bill here earlier this session and they talked about a 300-foot distance between places of worship, and they maintained that. And so I guess everyone can do what the community wants to. But I have a question. Are there any places of worship in Leonardtown that might be affected by this now? Or,
Right now, there's one Catholic church that's in Leonardtown, one of the older ones in there, that might be, I believe is like in that 250-foot issue right now, but right across the street in a area that had been fairly run down and not economically feasible anymore has been replaced with a new shopping center type area where there's some small little lunch places and barbecue places that have some on-sale licenses.
but no, say, churches in those little strip malls?
No.
Okay, great, thanks, I appreciate
And
that.
I will say, that one thing I did forget, in St. Mary's County, they have they have a limitation law on the amount of licenses, whether it's package stores.
Okay, yeah, well, thanks for your answers, thank you.
Chair, please, final question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator Ellis, you just mentioned Westlake High School, and since we're on TV, the name of that school is so familiar to me. I wonder what it is that I'm not quite remembering.
So thank you for that. We move so many bills around here, things get kind of foggy. So Westlake High School, we had the basketball team, the men's basketball team up in the Senate in Annapolis yesterday because they won the state 2A championships. So that's the connection. Yes, yes.
Bunch of gentlemen that were
Yeah.
well-dressed in their uniforms, and we know that they're going
Okay.
to be great athletes and great students.
Any more softballs?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Delegate.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
Thank you, Delegate Clark.
your time. Thank
Okay, we'll have Delegate Lasante followed by Delegate Washington. This is 667, Class B beer, wine, and liquor licenses restaurants.
Yes, Mr. Chairman and Madam Vice Chairman, members of the committee, it's my pleasure to bring to you a bill on behalf of the Harford County House Delegation. This bill gets rid of a antiquated law, I guess, that we have and only we have in Harford County, and how we treat restaurants who want a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. Currently, the way it works in Harford County is you can pay the annual fee, and I note annual fee, of $2,645. No capital investment, but you have to wait you have to open and be open for 6 months before you get your license. So think about that. I'm a restaurant, I'm trying to survive in today's world, and I have to wait 6 months. You have option 2. Option 2 is you pay $3,000. And you make a $250,000 commitment to a new restaurant equipment, and you get your license immediately. Can you see what we've created here? The inability for people with capital to be able to open a business, number one. Number two, you also create a situation where businesses that unfortunately have gone out of business because of COVID or whatever, you can't walk in and take over that old business with all the equipment there because that doesn't count. So we think this is a business-friendly bill. We think this is an opportunity, particularly to, let's say, add flavor to our county and allow ethnic restaurants and all kinds of small mom-and-pop businesses to be able to open in our county. You will find in your packet a letter of support from the city of Havre de Grace because they are one of the towns that are really pushing this as an economic development activity. You also will see a letter of opposition from our liquor board. And I think that this is a long-held misunderstanding that I'm able to resolve for you today. The misunderstanding is that our liquor board can only operate via their license fee. That is absolutely incorrect, and it's been a long-held notion that I have actually been able to clear up through the Attorney General's office, and I'm submitting a letter to this committee to clear that up. They are a state agency, as you know. Their main role is to enforce state liquor laws. Under the state code, they have the ability to ask the county executive and the county council for money to cover their employees. That's a total of about $256,000 a year that they are not asking for from the county. The county budget is still being created, so this can easily be resolved with our county executive. I am working with our senators to see if we can resolve this and get a letter of support from them. But this is what the bill is, and it's a very positive bill, so I ask for your favorable report
Thank you.
on this bill.
Questions? Seeing none, we'll await resolution by the Harford County delegation and Senate delegation. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the
Okay,
opportunity.
that concludes 667. Okay. Delegate Washington, are you doing 359 and 357? I had somebody else, Henry Soar is, I don't know who that is. Well, the delegates here, so in whatever order you choose, Delegate Washington, yeah.
Okay, cool. Good afternoon, everyone. Delegate Washington here to present on House Bill 357. This is a local Prince George's County delegation bill. You guys passed a version of this bill last year, which would expand the availability of Sunday off-sale permits to Class A beer, wine, liquor license holders in Prince George's County and eliminate the current limitations on the number of these permits, which is about 105. This was increase the opportunity for these licenses for multiple different stores within Prince George's County. I believe the Senate delegation passed this bill earlier this morning and approved it. And so with that, I ask for a favorable report.
Questions? Yes, the delegation at 8:30 this morning, actually. I took it up a little too early, but nevertheless. Questions?
Hope you guys had some mimosas, man.
Seeing none, that completes the hearing on 357, 359.
I can't.
Don't care.
No, I don't even know what that bill is. No, you're good.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair, members of the committee. HB 359 is a local Prince George's County delegation bills. Oh, I'm Henry Snur. I'm representing Delegate Lewis in the Prince George's County delegation. Yeah. So HB 359 is a local Prince George's County Senate delegation bill. Specifically, it stems from the work of a alcohol density task force looking at the density of some of these liquor stores within Prince George's County. And this bill simply lifts the restriction of liquor stores to within high-density areas to relocate into areas where the density is less. Specifically, they can relocate to an outside legislative district within Prince George's County, as long as there's not another liquor store within 1 square mile of the new location. The Senate delegation took this up this morning, and I believe they added an amendment to exempt legislative districts, correct me if I'm wrong, 21, 22, 24, and 47 from the bill.
There may be more.
With these amendments and with the bill itself, we hope that this will limit the density of liquor stores located in specifically within areas where there is an oversaturation of these stores, and we hope that the committee will provide a favorable report.
Senator Patterson, followed by Senator Simon Aaron.
Yes, I didn't get your name, but,
Henry Snur.
okay. On 357, so if,
3-9.
where's the one we're talking about now? I tell you, my glasses are bad, my eyes are getting worse or something. 359, yeah, that's one. Okay. So this ain't work two ways. I mean, if I got a store in Prince George's County, and want to move to Howard, it has to stay within Prince George's?
It has to stay within Prince George's County,
Okay,
yes.
let's just say I'm in the north and I want to move to the southern area. But by the same token, if there are 3 other folks in the northern area want to move to the southern area in my district, I mean, they will have that opportunity to do it? Will they have to go before the local commissioners, the board, or?
Yes, so long as they locate within an area that does not already have a store within 1 square mile of that proposed new location.
To your knowledge, are we having a problem with You mentioned earlier trying to get liquor stores from one area to another area. Why are we doing this?
Simply because there is a oversaturation within certain areas of liquor stores, whereas some, the distribution of these stores is just simply not even right now, where there is certain locations that have on average 2 or 3 per square mile, whereas others have less than 1 on average.
Could, a number of years ago, the Prince George's Senators put up walls saying we didn't, however many licenses there were in the district, they didn't want them increased. And first one district did it, then 2, then all of them. So they said if there are 80 off-sale permits or licenses, we're keeping it 80, and we're not having any more. And we basically restricted moving from district to district. And so that was the policy. Some have an overabundance,
Yeah.
and some might need them. So I think the idea here was to say, if you are in an area that's just inundated with them, and you can shift districts if you have an area where there's none within a mile, square mile. So I think that was the purpose of the bill. Obviously, the concern myself and Senator Augustine and some others raised is, we got plenty in our districts, we don't want any more moving in, no matter what the situation.
Well, I just got one
Please.
additional question. So who would make that call? Would it be the commissioners who would decide? Where would the input from the community come if there's an opportunity for such?
I believe it would be with the commissioner's decision. I can verify that after this hearing, and I will get back to your office on it. I don't think the bill covers public input within it. I believe that is a process.
You're gonna bring 5 to 10 liquor stores in a community and not provide any avenue for transparency? Okay.
That, this bill only covers if there are none within 1 square mile.
Yes.
None.
None, correct?
Yes.
Are we voting on this sometime soon? I'd like to further consider it so before we vote on it. Thank you.
Maybe the question is to you, Chair. Who is left in this bill after, or do we have an amendment that we can see, or
By district?
is left in?
23, 25, 26, 27.
Yes, correct.
4 of the 8.
4 in, 4 out.
Okay.
And just so we understand, and again, I'm not a super big fan of this bill, most of the 4 are outside of the Beltway where it's a little more suburban or rural, and where inside the Beltway where it's much more urban, that it's a compactness and some, practices that aren't so great. So it's sort of geographic.
And look, this is a local bill, but I will say, I don't know if people didn't know about this or whatever, but I've been starting to get a lot of conversation that they were concerned with the original bill as it was, so I'm sure that, I told them to reach out to you all, and so.
Oh, no, that's it. Thank
The questions on 359, saying not? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Akris? Now, are you doing 1253 and 1116?
Just 1253, sir.
Okay. Senator Ellis, are you perchance doing abeyance of license, huh? Yes. Okay.
Hey, good afternoon.
I have with you,
Yes, sir.
okay.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee. My name is Jeff Kelly. I'm the Executive Director of the Alcohol and Tobacco Commission, and I'm here instead of Chairman C.T. Wilson. He put together a bill that's essentially a cleanup bill. It continues the vision that the General Assembly had in creating the Alcohol and Tobacco Commission. I'll refer to it as the ATC. And this is just going through several areas of law and a variety of different areas in the alcohol area and tobacco areas of law to pretty much migrate the responsibilities that the comptroller had and naming the commission formally as the entity that's responsible, either the commission or the office of the executive director. Prior to that, and even still, because I'm sure we've missed some areas, and we'll be back over the next couple of years to continue this, we use uncodified language of the bill that created the Alcohol Tobacco Commission in House Bill 1052 from 2019 session. So we use that as our support for doing what we do. This is just starting to really memorialize it and make it quite expressly stated. So it covers a few things. It jumps around a little bit, and if you just bear with me, I'll give you a couple of the topics. One is in our general policy statement concerning alcohol in the state. It replaces comptroller with the commission and the office of the executive director, as it being the state's intent that we regulate alcohol. It adds a Title 16.9 to various areas of the tobacco law. 16.9 isn't law yet, but it will be on July 1st. It was a bill that you passed last year that creates a licensing structure for premium cigars and pipe tobacco for out-of-state entities to be able to start paying the excise tax and sales tax into the state. Previous to that, and currently up until July 1st, they can send and they can sell their product into the state. There's no tax liability, no taxable event that takes place. They want to pay the tax. We want them to pay the tax. So we went to add all of these, since this bill would take effect July 1st, we added that section that we need to regulate effective July 1st as well. It provides that the executive director can enter into memorandum of understanding or other cooperative agreements with virtually any agency. Previously, we could do that without issue. When the commission was created, language said that the commission may do it, but the attorney general said we should probably add executive director in that as well, because that's really the level of operation where the memoranda, for the most part, take place. It cleans up language concerning alcohol awareness. There's been a lot of effort over the last several years to increase alcohol awareness training, staff members on site. And at the same time, in adding that, there's been some cleanup language, such as House Bill 1117 that you heard just a little while ago, that eliminates the requirement for alcohol awareness because they consider it to be redundant since it's already mentioned in this area of 1253. And in this area of 1253, we fix that so that it very correctly and accurately states that it will apply to all of these license holders. Any place that's licensed to sell alcohol is required to have alcohol awareness staff on board. It also provides, it provides for us, the ATC, to be able to enforce provisions of the Master Settlement Agreement in conjunction with the Office of the Attorney General. We sent a specific piece of language up to the AG's office so that they can look at it, make sure it doesn't mess up what they do with the MSA, and satisfactorily allows us the authority to help them enforce it. It allows us to share any enforcement of a variety of related tax issues with the comptroller and the Attorney General. And it also puts the burden on us to verify the fire-safe cigarette certifications, which is a technical issue, but we get, every 2 or 3 years, we get certifications from tobacco manufacturers that go through a bunch of lab testing saying their cigarettes are essentially safe, that they self-extinguish if they're not drawn on after a period of time. That puts the burden or responsibility on us to verify those certifications. So it's all technical stuff. It just continues the migration of really carrying out your will from previous years. And, of course, we'd urge a favorable vote on House Bill 1253.
Colleague want to add or is he here for answering questions?
Very quickly, my name is Thomas Akers. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee. I'm the Director of the Legal and Legislative Division with the Alcohol Tobacco Commission, and I would concur with all the statements made by the Executive Director and ask for a favorable report.
Thank you. And Mr. Kelly, when I called Mr. Akers and you raised your hand, it threw me for a loop because you look very familiar. I knew you were the guru at alcohol and tobacco for many years.
I'm thrown for a loop every morning, so that's quite all right.
Well, you've had a long history in the comptroller's office, which might have contributed to that.
Probably so.
But anyway, that's for another day.
Thank you.
Some new COVID decoration here, too.
It was much worse in the earlier parts of COVID. This is tame now.
Very distinguished looking.
Thank you.
Senator Ellis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, sir, for your testimony for this bill. So MSA, you talk about MSA, Master Settlement Agreement. Can you explain what that is?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Because we're doing with opioid now, and I think.
Sure.
But I
And that's a
want to be
great
sure.
question. It's a timely and important and valuable question. The Master Settlement Agreement is an agreement that took place between what's called participating manufacturers of cigarettes, essentially, and the variety of states. And effective, I believe it was 2003 or 4 was the first year it took effect. In essence, the manufacturers agreed to put money aside to the states for the variety of ill effects of cigarette smoking. And it's for the states to use for a variety of reasons. Maryland gets somewhere in the range of maybe $150 to $175 million a year from these participating manufacturers. And there's a lot of rules that have to be followed in order for us to maintain the eligibility to receive the funds. It's a lot of enforcement that goes on, and a part of that is, I was mentioning participating manufacturers. That's most of your major manufacturers, but there's a lot of other ones that are non-participating. Our obligation is to make certain cigarettes and roll-your-own tobacco products come into the state in a way that these non-participating manufacturers are paying their fair share, which means they're sending in tax into an escrow account, and as they make sales into the state, and the AG enforces the program. The AG makes sure that they're sufficiently paying into the escrow account, and the funds are being received by the state. The danger of not enforcing that occurred in our very first, it also provides that these manufacturers can challenge us every year to make sure we're diligently enforcing this. The very first year they challenged us, which again, I think may have been for 2004, we lost. The state lost, that we did not, we were not, nobody knew what diligent enforcement was, but we weren't doing it. So they went through an arbitration hearing and they said, you haven't done it the way we think, so we lost some amount of money. But from that point on, we got better every year, not because of that decision, because that happened years after we'd already been doing it. We got better every year in our enforcement, and our relationship with the AG's office is very tight. So the next time they questioned that, we won. It was just last year, and we won. So we were able to keep all of that money, and it's going to happen again and again and again every year, because there are millions and millions of dollars at stake. So it's all about tobacco, cigarettes, and roll-your-own tobacco products in our work.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Sure.
I appreciate that. So your job is to make sure that settlement money keep flowing in to Maryland, is that?
Well, interestingly, that's really the Attorney General's job. The Attorney General is the primary enforcing agency for the Master Settlement Agreement. Our job are being the boots in the field. Our job is to go to these businesses, these various tobacco businesses, and make certain that they're only selling product that's on the shelves from participating manufacturers or authorized non-participating manufacturers. And that is a directory or a list that we get periodically updated, maybe monthly, from the Attorney General's Office Tobacco Enforcement Unit. They send us the list, and then we're the ones who go out there and make certain that it's only those items that are being sold. If they're not, we seize them and move for
Okay, great,
charges.
thanks. So I guess from listening to the testimony, you're being here, was your commission the primary author of this piece of legislation?
We did it in conjunction with Chair Wilson and Mr. Bob Smith as well, collaboratively,
Yeah,
putting
who's
was
Mr.
a variety of areas that need to be addressed.
Committee counsel.
Committee counsel, okay,
Committee
thank
counsel,
you.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
yes.
So was the Attorney General brought in to make sure this stuff will tie into the settlement and other issues also?
Completely, and we incorporated all of their recommendations.
Great, thank you, sir, I appreciate you.
Yes, sir, my pleasure, thank you.
And as a recall, the settlement, there's a lot of pictures in Congress when the Big Four, Big Five raised their hands and swore on a Bible that they didn't believe that cigarettes contribute to cancer. And all those records and emails came across, and the settlement followed soon after. So that was some of the genesis. Senator Carrizo.
Chair, and Mr. Kelly, good to see you again, and thanks for all the on-site assistance that you've provided. Your testimony was reminding, I think, all of us a little bit of what went before with the reorganization. So I wanted to first make sure I understood the reorganization and then just ask you a question about the authorities. When we went through that, the Alcohol and Tobacco Commission, is it a commission underneath a certain umbrella? Is that under the AG's umbrella? Is that where?
We report to the governor.
So, okay, so the commission is independent with a direct report to?
Yes, Senator, that's correct.
To
Governor Hogan.
Okay.
Into the mic.
Okay, thank you. So,
Kelly, repeat that into the mic. It's being
We
streamed.
were a direct report to Governor Hogan.
okay, so now that you have this, the commission is set up, you've gone back and looked at what is called a clarification. So I guess what I'm asking is, you need legislative authority in order for the executive director to have these authorities? Is that your understanding?
It's actually, we have I'll say 80-plus years of law since post-prohibition, where we've assigned authority, different alcohol authorities, mostly with alcohol, and then eventually with tobacco as well, to the comptroller. So it's interwoven in a lot of different areas. And in the uncodified section of the bill that created this, 1052, House Bill 1052 from 2019.
That created the commission?
That created the commission.
Okay.
It said, we intend for this commission to be the successor agency, and I'm paraphrasing now, but the long and short of it was, wherever we say comptroller will do all of this, we mean the commission or the executive director will do all of this. And then also it will say, over the next few years, clean this up. Start
Okay.
working to clean up. This is just a continuation of this. Each year, there have been a couple of, a bill that makes a couple of changes here and there. This was more work, and we're going to be doing more yet again this summer to identify other areas that come up that it mentions comptroller will do something, and we use our uncodified authority to do it in any event, but this will codify it now. And
I'm
make
just
it certain.
surprised, because looking at these authorities, you would think you would need them as soon as possible.
And we have them under the uncodified, we do, thank you
Okay.
for that. We use it, we have them under the uncodified language, and just so you would know, the industry that we deal with is the same industry we've always dealt with, so they understand that was the intent of the General Assembly as well. It was very, very clear in the uncodified language, and we've not been
Okay.
challenged on it, but
Okay.
this just seals it.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
As you recall, when this was spun off from the comptroller's office, and we had that not very pleasant hearing a few years ago, this is the continuation of clarifying those threads and what goes where.
Yes, sir.
Further questions? Seeing none, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Is Chris Hopkins here, representing Delegate Fisher on 886? 886, Board of License Commissioners Compensation.
Yes. Here on behalf of the Calvert County delegation to present HB 886. I have a fiscal note here, and it says the bill increases the compensation of the Calvert County Board of License Commissioners such that the board chair must receive $5,000 annually for expenses incurred while performing the duties of office, which would be an $800 increase, and each regular board member must receive $4,350 annually for expenses incurred while performing the duties of office, which would be a $750 increase. Increases in compensation do not apply to members currently serving in a term of office and will only take effect at the start of the term of an individual appointed or elected after the effective date of the bill, and the bill takes effect July 1st, 2022. It has the support of the Calvert County delegation and the Calvert County Commissioners.
Questions? Seeing none? Great job, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, I think the rest will be done by our own senators. We'll start with Senator Ellis. We'll do 1116, and either Senator Kagan or Senator Lamb can do their respective counties, and then we will go into the next. You can, Senator, you can do it if you. We're comfortable.
Okay.
We're among friends here.
Okay.
1116.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Colleagues, I'm here to present House Bill 1116, which is a Charles County alcoholic beverage bill. So the issue is we lose a liquor license holder. They go out of business, they lose their license. License is someplace around, it goes away. This bill will allow that license to stay active for a year. That's what's a hold in abeyance. And if it's reassigned to another applicant, that'll be fine within that period of 1 year. And there's also an amendment from the county commissioners, which I got this morning. They would want us to allow that available license to be moved to a less dense location, dense being less liquor stores in the county, that election district. So that's pretty much the bill. I ask for your favorable consideration.
Questions? Seeing none, that completes the hearing on 1116. Either Senator Lamb, Senator Kagan, whoever. Senator Lamb, you want to start?
All
All right, I will start with Senate Bill 840, House Bill 840. This is the Alcoholic Beverages Act. The bill establishes consumption only in shopping mall plazas and creates a license for special event permits for the owner of the commercial shopping mall. The mall must include at least one Class B licensed restaurant and an outdoor plaza area for consumption to be eligible. And then the patrons can consume beer, wine, and alcohol in the outdoor plaza area when it's purchased from one of the mall restaurants, including the one that's a Class B license holding, as long as those locations are contiguous to the plaza. There's some hour and day limitations, as well as the fact that the containers must be marked in a certain way to identify that they're a participant of this special license. So that's the bill, and ask the committee for a favorable report on this bill.
Questions for the Howard County Senator, Senator Salmonere?
Yeah, just a quick question. I'm trying to visualize what this is. So is this a mall that has a restaurant and it has a patio or something that they're trying to create an area where they can drink? Is that basically?
This is mostly for the Columbia Mall, which has an outdoor, it has restaurants that have exterior access, and they also have kind of outdoor patios that are kind of contiguous to each other.
Okay, so they could, and then there's a special event in there. Is that for like concerts or something? What is that?
That is for, yes, because the Columbia Mall is right across the street from Meriwether. And so I think they're looking at potentially kind of combined events that, you know, they could publicize, and they could sell tickets for this event, and this would be a special event permit that would be just for those locations that are kind of near there.
Okay, thanks.
That takes care of 840. Now we have 1308.
All right, so this is House Bill 1308, Howard County Alcoholic Beverages Licenses Notifications. And for the record, Clarence Lamb, Chair of the Howard County Senate Delegation. The bill repeals the requirement that the Howard County Board of License Commissioners publish notice of an alcoholic beverage license application twice in newspapers before they can be approved. Instead, the board has posited some alternative provisions, which include posting a hearing on their website at least 15 days before the hearing, and providing notice at least 15 days before the hearing to the Howard County Office of Public Information, who posts the information similar to how they post other public meeting notices. And that's the bill. So ask the committee for a favorable report. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Seeing none, that completes that hearing. Thank you. Senator Kagan, Montgomery County.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have several bills on behalf of the Montgomery County delegation. For the record, Cheryl Kagan, representing District 17, Gaithersburg, Rockville. House Bill 232, Alcoholic Beverages Class B Beer, Wine, Liquor, Clubhouse Lodge Manufacturer's License, which authorizes these folks, Class B Beer, Wine, Liquor, Clubhouse Lodge License. They can be issued, these licenses can be issued by the Board of License Commissioners to the Executive Director of the Montgomery County Revenue Authority, or the designee of the director for a multi-use facility that accommodates a golf course, a restaurant, a clubhouse, a tasting bar, and the catering of events anywhere on the property. And that would enable folks to sell beer and wine for off or on premises, as well as offering samples. This was unanimous in committee and in the full House. Ask for a favorable report on House Bill 232, and happy to take questions.
Seeing no questions. Seeing no questions, that completes the hearing on 232.
Okay.
Next.
House Bill 233 is for the town of Kensington, which has its own liquor laws. This is to allow a Class 7 microbrewery license in the town of Kensington. It's a manufacturing license and would allow the holder to brew and bottle not more than 22,500 gallons of malt beverages within Kensington, and it may be issued to all the whole alphabet soup, Class B, BWL, Class BD, BWL, Class D, BW, or Class H, BW, Mr. Alcohol Subcommittee Chair. License holder, it would simply add Class D, BWL license holders to that list and would authorize them to sell beer, wine, and liquor for on-premise consumption only in the town of Kensington. And again, this was unanimous in committee and in the full House. Happy to take any questions on House Bill 233.
So, ladies and gentlemen, there are municipalities in Montgomery County other than Gaithersburg and Rockville.
Damn, they're just not nearly as cool.
Questions for the Vice Chair? If not, 233 is completed. 242.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 242, Alcoholic Beverages, Consumption Only Marketplace. This bill would authorize the Board of License Commissioners to issue the marketplace license to management companies. It would strike the language that is, quote, contiguous to the designated outdoor area and replace it with, quote, is within 1,000 feet of the designated outdoor area. The changes would better align the marketplace license and the streetery model widely used during COVID when dining restrictions were in place. The streetery model is a dining concept that creates additional restaurant seating outside by converting a street into an eatery or a streetery. Again, this bill passed unanimously in committee, in the delegation, and in the full House. Happy to take any questions on House Bill 242.
Questions? Seeing none, that completes that hearing. And finally, 241.
Nope, not on my list.
Oh, this says Senator Zucker.
I don't have that one, Mr. Chair. I have three.
Yeah. We have one more. Then we will move into cyber. And then at 10 of 3 until hopefully 3:20, we're going to have a half-hour break. I know the minority party wants to go to a bill signing with the governor at 3 o'clock.
I wonder if majority party members are invited too.
I don't know.
It was unanimously voted on. Mr. Chairman? If we're waiting for Senator Zucker, Senator Carozza very generously just gave me paper on House Bill 241. I am not familiar with it, but I'm happy to read this if you'd like, or we can wait for Senator Zucker.
Yeah, I can't believe he cares.
I'm not sure that I would say that on the air. I think Senator Zucker cares a great deal about House Bill 241, personally. It's Damascus. If you'd like, I can do it briefly, and if he shows up, he can add anything he wants.
Fine.
It's the will of the chair. Okay. Thank you again on the microphone to Senator Carozza for having this all printed out and ready, and her staff. House Bill 241 is Damascus. Damascus is another, they have to have all their own liquor bills. We have these a lot. Class B beer, wine, and liquor license referendum. It authorizes the Montgomery County Board of License Commissioners to issue a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license in the city of Damascus, the 12th election district. The passage of a bill is contingent on the approval of the voters of Damascus in a referendum this November 2022. So the bill would take effect in July, the referendum would be held November 1st, and it would be only after that that such a license would be available in the city or town of Damascus in Montgomery County. Happy to take limited questions if there are any, and if not, Mr. Chairman, thank you, and thanks again to Senator Carozza.
Yeah, my mic was off, but if it was picked up, my point was, I think the senator would be happy with it being presented by someone else. Of course, he wouldn't have put the bill in unless he thought it was important.
Of course.
And the particulars of the bill actually give pure local control and actually voice of a referendum before taking action. So
Look at that.
democracy at its very organic nature.
You left out an adverb, so ably presented by the vice chair is what you meant to say.
We have just received papal dispensation that the vice chair had authority to present that bill. Okay, that completes the hearing. We're going to shift our committee council, and you have just been given a fairly thick packet. That concludes the hearings, and now we'll move into the next phase of our meeting.